Hello everybody, we are back here on the Hunter Call of the Wild, and today we are continuing the True series. This one, I guess the title's not really going to have True in it, because I don't know how that would even work, but basically what we're going to do today is do a hunt exactly how I would be hunting in real life. So we're here on Layton Lakes, which is basically the same as Oregon, which is where I'm from. I believe Layton Lakes is based off of Washington, if I'm not mistaken, which Washington and Oregon are very similar. So we are going to be hunting here, and we're going to try to find some blacktail and some elk primarily. And we are basically just going to do this hunt as true to real life as possible to like how I would be hunting. Now, there is going to be some things, unfortunately, that I can't do in game. And one of them is I can't really check clear cuts like I would. A lot of times, the way that I hunt in real life kind of involves going from unit to unit, just checking all the clear cuts, checking the open fields early in the morning for blacktail deer that might be feeding. And that's how we do a lot of the hunting around here. But there's not a lot of clear cuts in Call of the Wild, so I can't really do that. I think we actually need to change the time to be a little bit earlier, so I'm gonna go do that real quickly, and then we'll get this hunt underway. So we are going to go ahead and change the time to probably around 5:30 or 6 in the morning. I think we'll go, how about 5:46? That seems perfectly fine to me. Now, the rifle that I use in real life for deer hunting and for elk hunting even is a 270. Very reliable rifle. It's always been a great one to have. I do also occasionally use my 223 AR, but I haven't really used it in quite a while, or at least I haven't took it out for a hunt in a while. To be honest, I haven't hunted in a while either. I haven't hunted since I was a kid, which at this point, that's been around 5 or 6 years ago, as I am 23 now. So it's been a while since I've actually had the opportunity to head out for a hunt, but back when I did, the only guns that I ever took out were my 223 AR and my 270 bolt-action rifle, which is what we're going to be using today, because it is the one that I tended to lean towards taking out on most of my hunts. So the goal for today is going to be to just kind of walk through all the fields down here. I know for a fact there is some fields down through this area, kind of like near the train tracks, so we are going to go check those fields and see if there's anything in there, whether it be elk or deer. To be honest, I don't even know what is feeding at this time of day, so it's going to be kind of interesting just to see what's even out here. Okay, so we actually do have some elk out here not too far away from where we just left that lodge. Now, they are all females as far as I can tell. I don't think there's a bull in this herd, unfortunately, so we will just probably pass these up. It's good to see that something is feeding out here, though, so we do know that the elk will be feeding, which is a good sign, because I would not mind taking down an elk. It would be kind of cool to get a big blacktail buck as well, but considering we're playing with such limited options, I think it's going to kind of just be a game of finding whatever we can, but we're going to kind of just pass these elk up and try to find something else. I should also mention that we will not be going by real-life bag limits for Oregon, or else this would be a very short video, considering most species you're only allowed one per year. It's that way with blacktail deer. It's also that way with elk and bear, so we're not gonna go by real-life bag limits for this video. Otherwise, like I said, it would be a very short video. So we're just going to hunt like we normally would, but kind of with the limitations that I've set to make it a little bit more true to how I would be hunting in real life. Now, we did just get a call from a bear somewhere in these trees, so if I was hunting in real life and I heard a bear, I don't feel like I would be moving up at all. I feel like I would probably just be chilling here to try and figure out what the bear was gonna do, which is kind of what we're doing now. I can't even see this thing, though, so that's a problem. The wind seems to be in our favor. You guys actually let me know that the particles in the air actually show you the wind direction. So wind's blowing that way. We should be okay to kind of lay down and maybe move around a little bit. I just don't want to get too close, and there it is. That is our bear right there. Look at that thing. That is awesome looking. You know, ever since they did the changes to the bears, I think they look so much better, and it really looks good to have them on Layton Lakes. Like, I just love the way that looks, and I guess in real life I wouldn't have a dog with me, but I kind of forgot to take the dog off, so we're just gonna have to deal with it. But Let's try to figure out where this bear went off to. I'm going to assume it's probably still in this brush, and yeah, there it is right there. That one's not really going to give us a shot, so we might have to move along, unfortunately. We'll see if we can maybe find an angle to take it out at, but it's looking like it's just going to keep on running. It was a female regardless, so it's not too big of a deal if it gets away. Well, looks like we just spooked off a doe. I don't think there's any bucks with her, thankfully, so we fortunately did not scare off any males. It looks like it was just that doe, which, to be honest, that's all you end up seeing when you're hunting here anyway, is does. I swear, like, most of my hunts have gone very buckless for the most part. Like, you see a lot of does, maybe 1 or 2 bucks, but they're never big enough to shoot. And then the 2 times that I actually did find a buck that was actually worth taking, sadly ended up losing both of them. The first one, I realized that I had forgot my wallet, which had my tag in it, so we had to end the hunt early. And the second time that I had a chance at a buck, I ended up getting into my scope, and I was trying to find the deer in my scope, and sadly, just could not get him in the scope in time, and by the time I did, I wasn't able to get steady enough to get a reliable shot before it went into the trees. So sadly, the 2 chances I've had at a buck in real life, unfortunately, just wasn't able to seal the deal, but I'm okay with that because I'd rather hunt 100% ethical than take a risky shot or anything like that. So it is what it is. One of these days we'll end up doing it. Hopefully my first buck will end up being on camera so I can actually share it with you guys on the second channel. That would be quite an awesome thing to be able to do. And I probably will end up doing a couple hunts in the next couple years once I kind of get everything situated. But yeah, it should be pretty fun once we're able to get around to doing that. So we do have some deer around here. This is about where we were trying to get to. We're about to get into the stand around the old Runaki church. Hopefully we can see something in the fields feeding or resting. That would be pretty awesome if we could. Now, in real life, I wouldn't ever use a stand. That's not really something that gets done here a lot in Oregon. Especially around where I come from, at least, there's not really too much use of stands, and I think it's kind of like that throughout most of Oregon. It's more spot and stock than anything else, but since we have a stand here, we might as well utilize it, and that right there is something. We've got a black-tailed doe. Not really something we're interested in. I'm hoping that we can see a buck out here. That would be really, really nice, but it's looking like there's not any bucks out here as of now. Maybe if we wait long enough, we'll be able to find one. But honestly, we might end up just taking one of the does over here, just so we can get something on the ground. You know, I've always loved this part of the map. There's just something about an old overgrown church with ivy leaves growing on it that just looks really cool. I've always really liked this part of the map. It's one of the more, like, well done points of interest on Layton Lake. Definitely a huge fan of this, and I kind of hope they do more things like this throughout any of the future maps. They kind of did that with Mississippi, so I'm hoping they continue to make lots of really cool POIs on the future maps, because this is the way to do it in my opinion. Some really cool looking structure with a lot of like ivy leaves on it. It looks really nice. So we didn't really find anything throughout that field, which means it's time to move on, because that's most likely what I would have done in real life. So we're going to head up into this area. There is a really wide open field up here that very commonly has deer, so I'm expecting to see at least something. We should have a much better chance than the area that we just visited, so let's head up there and see if we can find anything good. There we go. That is what we are looking for. We actually have ourselves a couple level 3 blacktail, actually 3 level 3 blacktail feeding up in this field. This is what we're looking for. Now, we would probably take a shot this long in real life if I were out here hunting, and it sounds like there's actually something else closer. Could we possibly have another... Yep, we definitely do. Oh, there is deer right here. That is a whitetail buck, actually, and I saw another over here. There is a blacktail as well. There's a lot of deer around here. So it's probably time that we get ourselves hidden a little bit. Otherwise, we risk spooking off everything. Let's make our dog sit. Let's see if we can maybe bag one of these. I'm still thinking we're going to go for the long shot on one of these blacktail. I think I would definitely be targeting one of these blacktail bucks. Especially since here in Oregon it's actually illegal to shoot whitetail because there's so few of them that you couldn't actually shoot a whitetail here. So we're probably going to go for one of these blacktail deer that's far off. That's about 237 meters. I think we could maybe do this. I kind of want to get the one behind it though, because that guy is much smaller. And this one in the back seems to be the higher scoring of the two. Although they're going to be pretty similar. You know what? Let's just go for this guy in the back since we can get a clearer picture of what he looks like. I think this is going to be our guy. He's about 270 away. That looked like a solid hit. I think we got our buck. Yep, we got our buck down. And there he goes hitting the ground. So that is awesome. We finally managed to bag a deer, and I did turn the manual chambering on because I think it looks really good. And now, like I mentioned, we're not going to worry about bag limits because, I mean, it's Call of the Wild. Let's just have some fun with it. Get that guy down as well. I'm just happy we were actually able to find some deer doing it like this. So that is 2 bucks down. Let's go ahead and walk up and claim these two. I hope you guys have been enjoying this so far. It's kind of like a hunting how I would, but not completely how I would because of Call of the Wild's limitations. But for the most part, we're doing, I guess, like the hunting style like I would. The only thing that we're not really, I guess, following perfectly would be bag limits, obviously, because I still want it to be an entertaining video for you guys. And then the other thing is we don't really have the types of clear cuts that you would find around here a lot that I would normally hunt. So we're having to just stick to fields, which fields are close enough, I guess. The only real difference really is not quite as rough of terrain and not a bunch of stumps everywhere and fallen trees. So I guess that's the main differences, but for the most part, we're trying to stick to this as much as we can and make it as close to a real life hunting experience as possible. But here is one of our deer. Let's go ahead and claim this buck right here. That's a decent looking blacktail. If I shot this in real life, I would be so happy because this would actually be a pretty decent buck. A lot of people don't realize that blacktail really are pretty small in real life. They're not giant deer. Obviously Call of the Wild's blacktail are not perfect, but they're better than some of the blacktail that I've seen in other games. A lot of games make them oversized, but Call of the Wild kept it pretty true to life when it comes to antler size. It's just kind of the configurations of the tines that need a little bit work here. Like this. Like, a lot of the tines are too short in Call of the Wild. Most of the time you would not see a forked horn like this with like split tines right there. Like, a lot of times it would just be a regular fork, like a little 2x2 with the brow tines as well. So yeah, they're not perfect, but they're passable. And this right here was actually the first one we took out, I believe. This guy is a pretty solid deer. Like I said, I'd be happy with these if I got these in real life because it's more about just getting a deer that is above the legal size. You don't really worry too much about it being a monster or anything like that. So I'd be perfectly happy with this buck if I were to take it down in real life. Ooh, there we go. There's actually some more deer out there. Unfortunately, it is some whitetail, which we would not be hunting in real life. We would focus just on the blacktail, elk, stuff like that. So once again, we'll let that whitetail go. And instead, we will take out this blacktail deer right here. Let's go ahead and get this from 170 meters. This should be a makeable shot. There we go. He's going down. Not too bad. We managed to get ourselves 3 bucks up here. Let's go ahead and reload because we are going to be getting pretty low. Well, here's our deer. It ended up landing in the brush. This is a nice little 3x3. Now, one thing that you guys might be a little confused about is here in Oregon, we actually just would call it whatever side has the highest point count. So, for example, this guy right here would be a 3-point buck because Most people in Oregon do not count the brow tines as a tine, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, and it's not counted in the scoring here either. So you don't count the brow tines, and you also just call it whatever size has whatever side has the most tines. So if we had a 4x5 buck, it would be called a 5-point buck. It's kind of confusing because a lot of places in like the south and the eastern parts of the United States would call this like a 6-point buck, but here it would just be called a 3-point. So that's a little interesting fact to kind of give you guys for those that didn't know it. We have now moved to the final location of the video, which is going to be down the backside of the Chila hiking village. There's typically a lot of feed zone and rest zones through this little area, so we're going to head down here and see if we can catch up to some blacktail or some elk. Either one would be nice to find. I'm hoping we can at least get a nice level 4 buck or bull. That would be a great way to end things off here. Oh, that's actually a pretty decent buck there, but we ended up spooking it off. We might want to wait for this guy to come back because that is the biggest deer we've seen all day. It's actually a half decent sized level 3 for once. Most of the level 3s we've seen have been very tiny, but that guy's actually not half bad. So we're going to try and take him down. He is the nicest one that we've seen all day, so I'm not going to let this guy get away. Okay, so the wind is not in our favor, unfortunately. It's blowing directly in this direction, which is straight at those deer. So I don't have too much faith that this is going to go well. We're going to have to just kind of move up and see if we can get some type of a good position without spooking these things off too bad. And if they do end up spooking off, hopefully they'll come back. That's our guy right there. That is the buck that we're after. Now, in real life, obviously, if we spooked it off like this, it would be gone for good. But this is Call of the Wild, so it will end up coming back, even though we just spooked it off. Oh, there we go. Oh my gosh, that's an elk, actually. Hello there. Maybe we'll take down this elk instead. Actually, there's a few elk. I think this is the only bull, though, and it looks like he's going to try and run, so we might have to take him out pretty quickly. I do want to just check if there's anything else, but it looks like we're going to have to take this guy. I think that should have been a good hit. I hope. Yes, it is. Okay, we did get into a lung. That's good. That's exactly what we were looking for. I did not expect elk to just run down here. That's crazy. I did not expect to see elk at all today. But I guess there's always a surprise or two when you're out hunting. You know, something I've noticed about any time that I play Call of the Wild, with this type of a rule set where we don't hunt things like we normally would, and we kind of try to stick to more realistic ways, or turning the HUD off, or just not hunting near water, there's always a much more prominent sense of accomplishment whenever we actually do bag something. Like this elk right here, I actually feel pretty good about taking down because we did not expect to even see an elk. And that guy is actually a crazy looking gold scoring level 3. What is this elk? Oh my gosh, that is quite the wonky dude. I've never seen an elk like that. That is actually insane. You know what? This actually is a tax-worthy elk, just for how weird it is. I've never seen one like this before. That's actually kind of crazy. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. Like I said, the sense of accomplishment is crazy compared to the way that we would normally hunt. This is absolutely amazing. I'm really happy with that. I hear it. It's running through here. Oh, there we go. Alright, we got ourselves a rabbit. I'm happy with that. So, I think on that note, let's go ahead and end this video here. Let me know what you guys would like to see for the next episode of the True series, where we do things kind of like how they would be done in real life, in different ways. Some other options that I've been thinking about doing are a true Texas-style AR hunt, where we take down wild boar, javelina, and feral pigs with the AR-308. Another thing that I've thought about doing is like a true bow hunt, where we do like a spot and stock bow hunt in some thick forests, maybe on Tiawaroa or possibly on Mississippi Acres. Let me know if you guys would like to see either of those, and also drop some more suggestions down in the comments. I'm really curious to see what you guys would like to see me do with this series. Obviously, not all of the episodes will be just like this. Some of them will be quite a bit different, like we did that sniper style hunt where we did 500-meter shots using the elevation method to get the render distance to extend a little bit further. If you guys haven't seen that, I recommend checking that out because it shows you how you can take long-range shots without using any mods, which I am a huge advocate of completely getting rid of all mod use in Call of the Wild. I absolutely hate the fact that people use mods. I feel like it ends up ruining the experience for a lot of people and makes a lot of people's trophies a little bit harder to verify as being legit. So I am all for trying to find ways that people can enjoy things like long-range shots without having to use any mods. So if you guys are interested in that, I would check out that video. It was quite an interesting one and a lot of fun to try and take these 500-meter shots on stuff like mountain goats. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, click that like button, and ring that notification bell so that you guys will never miss any of the future uploads. Also, be sure to leave a comment down below, like I said, and let me know what you guys would like to see in the next video. With that being said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace!